Yes, hello everyone, Fáilte Rashkity, Cúilín Media. Welcome back to another weekend preview show. We have a full house tonight. Myself, Seamus Brady, joined by Liam White, the man behind the Faithful Pod, Matthew Hurley, the Gaelic Statsman, and Aaron Prendergast, the man behind Gaelic Games Fan TV. The four of us together, we've created Cúilín Media. As you can see, myself, Liam, Matthew, all dripped out in the hoodies. Aaron's gone rogue and wore his Gaelic Fan TV hoodie, but all created by Capture Athletics. So big shout out to the lads there for providing us with the hoodies. But yeah, we have a lot to get through here. Obviously, we had the Leinster Final last night, which with UL winning their maiden title. And we also have, of course, the Fitzgibbon Cup tomorrow evening. Liam, you're going to that. Just before we dive in, what are you expecting from the Fitzgibbon Cup? What are the main things you're looking out for?
Yeah, well, I suppose, first of all, look, having gone to UL for a couple of years, I'm absolutely delighted to see the lads win the football last night. They were very unlucky not to win it over the last couple of years. So it was great to see them get over the line over UCC last night, and especially against, a fellow college that has won it 24 times in the past. It's an unbelievable achievement, and to do it in Croke Park as well. So big congratulations to the UL men's footballers. From the hurlers tomorrow, yeah, look, it's the second time in 3 years that the two sides are going to be meeting each other. It's quite ironic that they threw this in Dublin and it's an all Limerick final. So probably the Gaelic grounds probably now looks more like it should have been there maybe, but at the same time, not really looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing some of the key battles in that game. Like you've some terrific players on display from both sides. I mean, look, everybody's talking about the UL side, and it's fair. The likes of Darren McCarthy in there. You've Adam English if he plays. Obviously, didn't play the semi-final. You've Adam Screeney in there. You've Jack Leahy. Top class hurlers. And then you go to Mary Aisher. You have the bull in Shane O'Brien, who's just an absolute animal at full forward. So yeah, really looking forward to it. And I think it's going to be a cracking game of hurling, and can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well, man. Like, the college competitions are class. Peter did fire it in there, Matthew. I mean, our news of the week could basically be done by Peter's first few comments there. Fair play, Peter. And he's leading the charge as well. Class guest to have on in the comments, Peter. Always leading the charge with the comments. Really appreciate it. Good to have you with us again, Peter. But if you are new on the show, do get involved in the live chat. Let us know what your highlights were from the week and what you're looking forward to this weekend. If there's anything in particular, any game in particular that you're looking forward to. But Matthew, one of his comments there was the speculation around the attendance in Croke Park. Obviously, we've seen Colin Parkinson mainly was leading the charge against it being in Croke Park and things like that. What's your first take on it? I have to say, I liked the idea of it being in Croke Park, but I think it's, the main thing is, as a competition, I don't think it's given enough of the spotlight.
Yeah, exactly it. I don't think many podcasts are talking about the secrets of the Fitzgibbon in early rounds, I suppose. We probably are guilty of it, maybe ourselves, maybe these weekdays and things like that, and maybe they aren't covered properly and things like that. But yeah, there are excellent competitions, and I think the players enjoyed it more than anything. Like, coincidentally, for the Southern Star, I actually chatted earlier to Paddy O'Driscoll, who was wing back for the UL team. He plays with Gabriel Rangers down in West Cork. And I actually asked him the question about Croke Park, would this be a good venue? And he said, look, it's brilliant. It's brilliant for the family members. It's brilliant for the players themselves. That was the first time in Paddy's career he's ever played in Croke Park. And it's like, it's a memorable occasion for these players. I think it just needs to be spread better, honestly. Like, you look at the main accounts, I suppose, the official accounts, they've only been covering the Fitzgibbon and Sigurdsson competitions for now, really. Like, when you look at the pages on Instagram, or our page in particular, and there's other pages as well, such as Jerome Quinn, who does amazing work for the higher level competitions, they're spreading it throughout the competition from the first round to the final. Like, there are stories that pop in and all that. Like, the main story I remember from round one was actually involving Paddy himself for UL, marking his brother in a game against MTU, which was probably a unique kind of experience. But those stories are talked about, but then the little stories aren't talked about as much. Like, I seen an earlier game in the campaign, Queens and UCC, was probably the best game of football that I've seen in 2026. I thought it was a superb game of football. Likewise, Queens against UL in the semi-final. Not many people would have watched that game, but it provided a brilliant moment, obviously, with Conal Dawson hitting the two-pointer, Carl Brosnan hitting the back of the net as well. Like, those are fantastic moments. The day should be spread, but I just feel like the official accounts, RT in particular as well, maybe even GA Plus, maybe even these sorts of accounts aren't spreading the competitions as many other influencers or anybody else are at this present moment in time. I think that probably needs to be fixed. there is an argument to say that the league is around the same time as the Sigerson Cups, and I do agree.
That's the biggest problem for me, is that it's so hard to cover it. Like, we know ourselves when we're doing out the notes and everything like that, it's hard to do a full preview of the Sigerson when you literally have the leagues on that weekend. Like, it's so hard to find the time, and you've got 4 divisions in all 4 codes, 16 different divisions to preview. Like, it's very, very difficult to go in depth on the Sigerson and the Fitzgibbon and the Ashburn Cup and the O'Connor Cup and everything. It's like, because on top of that, what you were talking about, Matthew, there's so much more information available on the leagues than there is on the Sigerson. Like, genuinely, I remember starting out the pod, and fair play to you, but like, I remember being like, yeah, if Matthew hadn't posted the squads, I wouldn't have a clue who's playing the Sigerson or the Fitzgibbon, everything like that. So it's information, isn't it?
It is. I suppose it is. And I suppose it's just it's spreading awareness of the games being on. Like, this isn't a fault to maybe the average GAA fan, but I saw more hype around the pre-season competitions than the college competitions. And this was my fear with the pre-season competitions and why I did not want them back. I know Cork won the McGrath Cup, and what we do, we beat Kerry. That was an amazing day. I may add in Galway, but I didn't want the pre-season competitions back because, number one, you have players playing certain competitions. Number two, you have the coin tosses and crap like that happening, where there's icy pitches and games getting postponed, and obviously those sorts of events are going to happen. But I think the main reason is college competitions aren't getting the promotion they deserve because the pre-season competitions happening as well. That needs to change in the next few years. Should the Sigerson be on before Christmas? Maybe, but at the same time, you might have situations where, like, I remember obviously the semi-final a week ago, UL against Queens, that was postponed initially because of a yellow weather warning up in Dublin. And then it got played, I think, on a 4G pitch, which wasn't really ideal. Like, I saw people against 4G pitches because obviously ACL injuries and all that, but we're forced to play on 4G pitches in the winter. But I just think it needs to spread more. It's as simple as that. You look at like even the snide remarks, I suppose, and even Colin Parkinson's tweet. I know we mentioned it in our group chat, but I was hurt by it, to be honest. I feel like it was a disrespect to the competition. It was a disrespect to the players. It was a disrespect to UL, who actually won the competition. Disrespect to UCC, who played their part in getting to the final as well. You might not have the glitz and glamour of players. You might not have brilliant Ulster footballers like you have been over the last few seasons. But UL and UCC, the way they performed, the way they got to the final, deserve to be here. Both sides beat Queens, who were considered a very good team managed by Fergal Logan, the former Tyrone manager. Both sides beat DCU, the defending champions of the competition. Both sides deserve to be there, and I think they deserve the respect, especially from people on Twitter like that before the final. I just think a bit of respect, a bit of promotion, that's what needs to grow these college competitions. But yeah, it's kind of a difficult one, but I would have been in favour of it being on in Croke Park because the players deserve to play there. Some of the players may never play there again. Let's be honest, not many players are lucky enough to play in Croke Park when you look at intercounty and club and things like that as well. So I feel like it was a good decision to play in Croke Park. It's a simple thing though in the winter. Promotion needs to be a lot better in the future.
Yeah, well said. I think my thing with it was, like, as someone who went to DCU, is that when I was there was Freshers Week when you started college in first year. It was Freshers Week that, like, you're getting inducted, everything like that. Then there was Rag Week, and then there was Refreshers Week when you came back in the new year after the Christmas break. There was Refreshers Week. There was lots of different weeks for things, and bear in mind, when I was there, DCU won the Sigerson Cup and had Evan Comerford, Micheál Bannigan, and David Garland, Paddy Small, Jordan Morrissey as well from Carlow. Like, had a really, really good team, and there was no hype around the campus as far as I was aware. That, like, nobody really was like, "Oh, we're DCU, we better go over and watch the game," and like, we're right beside where they could have been playing that game. I remember the final was played over in St. Clair's in the DCU sports grounds, and yet it wasn't like this massive event that, like, let's get all of our students to go watch that game. In my head, it's simple around the promotion. There needs to be a GAA week in colleges. Same way that there's a Rag Week, same way that there's Freshers Week. Like, there needs to be a week where regardless of what college is in, the whole college goes GA crazy for that week, and buses are organised up to wherever the ground is, and you try to get as many fans to buy into the college and get behind the team. Like a leaf out of what America has with the college sports. Like college sports are like one of the biggest sports in America, and yet in Ireland they're completely slept on, even though they have such heritage. Like you think of any great GAA player, guarantee they probably won something at college level. Like it's such a proving ground for future stars. Like especially when the GAA posted like former captains, and you have like Jim McGuinness, Brian Cullen, like Paul Gainey, like, and that's all in the last 25 years. Like it's really, really common for a star to emerge from this competition. So for me, GAA week, and try and line up the calendars. I know you're changing the calendars, but try and line up the calendars so that the Sigerson, Fitzgibbon, Ashburn Cup and O'Connor Cup, that they have nothing else on at the same time that pulls media away to different competitions, because that's how you also end up with a poor enough attendance. Buses organised up, GA week, get the whole college on side, and I think then you'd see the best of what the college competitions have to offer. Aaron, have you any 2 cents on that before we move on?
Yeah, no, I think I just agree with what you've all said there. Like I think, yeah, there definitely does need to be more promotion. Like I know on my channel I've tried to cover a bit more this year than previous years. I think putting in Croke Park, I think is the best thing. And I think, to be honest, I think, you know, the majority of national finals, I understand you can't play them all there, but you have to play as many as possible there. And I've been a big believer in under 20 finals being in Croke Park, and minor finals and everything else, maybe even played before some of the senior finals, you know, like in previous seasons. I think the more exposure you can give to these games, the better. Look, it's one of them. Like, I've seen some of the comments as well from different people about them, and at the end of the day, with it being colleges, there isn't going to be a huge amount of investment maybe from regular GAA fans, because there's no connection to a college. You know what I mean? Unless you've gone to the college, you're probably not going to feel a specific connection. I think a lot of fans will watch the games, you know, purely out of entertainment. And like, I thought last night's game was pretty good. I know there was some people saying the game wasn't the best game of Gaelic football. I thought, given the conditions and everything else, I thought it was quite entertaining, to be honest, especially in the first half. There was a lot of chances and saves, and look, I know we'll get onto it, but no, I think it's great for the Sigerson and for the Fitzgibbon to get the exposure, and, you know, hopefully it continues for the next couple of years.
Yeah, the next step now is to get the Ashburn and the O'Connor Cup finals in there as well. Hopefully integration 2027. Please, God, let them keep to that, because so many issues and so much bullshit would be taken care of if they are one organization pulling in the one direction. Jack Nulty here saying, yet we have disrespect on X, saying it shouldn't be in Croke Park because not even Towson there, well-known journalist, disrespecting it. So I think we know who that is. That Jack is pointing at. Peter here is saying, do you think a Friday night lights double header in Croker would be better? Yes, absolutely. Double header, it makes so much more sense. Like, I mean, you're going to get, especially if you get then colleges kind of sticking together. And I would literally think, okay, what could draw the people in? What could draw the students in? Make a weekend out of it. Like, have events after the game. You know, the way that, like, the lads from the club teams won, you know, the Munster clubs that won their All-Irelands, and then they went on a pub tour around Munster. Have it that get some. There'd be plenty of places in Dublin that coppers would be tripping over themselves trying to get that deal. That all the college teams into town for a night out after you win the Sigerson Cup or after you win the Fitzgibbon Cup. It would be absolutely insane, and that would absolutely bring the people up to Dublin. I get it. Accommodation, very expensive. The Skylon would probably hate me for suggesting this. The Croke Park Hotel would probably hate me for suggesting this. Airbnb owners around Dublin would probably hate me for suggesting this. But if you want to make a weekend out of it, and you want to get good attention, and you want to get that competition buzzing, and you have to make it more than, because that's the other thing that people love about the GAA Championships, is that when they go up to Croke Park, it's more than just the match. It's the occasion, it's the event, it's everything like that. And we are currently treating it like just a match. Peter here saying Boar's Head and then Coppers. Not a bad night. Not a bad night at all. Jordan Cairns here saying hello. Jordan Cairns from Mayo in Castlebar, one of the best YouTube channels. Thanks very much, Jordan. Good to have you with us. Says, I think Donegal and Mayo will end in a draw. Mayo are coming good, and All Ireland is coming for Mayo. Andy's winning matches. Well, we were split. I said that I did think that Mayo would start strong in this league campaign because I thought that Andy Moore would want to make a splash. But I don't know if my Wi-Fi dropped there. But I was saying that I thought that Andy Moore would want to make a splash in the league campaign, especially as he's a new manager in the door. But let's start with that game, given that Jordan obviously has brought it up. So round 3 of Division 1, Donegal against Mayo, Sunday at 1:45 in O'Donnell Park. Aaron, I'll show this one to you first. What are you expecting from this one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because like Mayo have looked brilliant obviously so far at the start of the league. They're playing Ryan O'Donoghue. They've kind of pushed him back a little bit into the half forward line. So he's not playing in his usual position. So he's been fantastic in terms of 2-pointers and probably having more influence on games in terms of play. Obviously the introduction of players like Dara Byrne.
Wasn't he a centre forward when he originally kind of? Or am I getting?
He was, yeah. Like so, I think in the first season under James Horan in 21, yeah, I think he was more of like a centre forward, and then they've kind of pushed him. They pushed him into corner forward, and after that, so yeah, it does feel like he's having a lot more influence in the game. It's obviously allowed players like Dara Byrne to come in as well. So look, Mayo have been brilliant. What you would say though is that look, Mayo played a fairly poor Dublin team. Like if all truth be told. A Dublin team that had 14 men for pretty much an entire half. And obviously Galway have been missing a lot of big players as well. So, look, I think this is the big test now for Mayo. Like, going away to Donegal, like, I think it's just going to be very, very tough. I don't know if anyone really is going to beat Donegal in the league in Ballybuffet or Ballyshannon or wherever they play it. Like, you saw Michael Murphy come off the bench the last day, Oisin Gallen. Like, this feels like maybe a nice game to play them in, to kind of get a couple of legs. Sort of, minutes in the legs and everything else. So, it's not a slight on Mayo, but I just think Donegal at home, I think will be a little bit too strong at this moment in time from a Mayo perspective. But, this is a game you can lose and it's not the end of the world. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there'll be disappointment around Mayo in comparison to obviously when they lost to Donegal last year.
I think that this is the type of game where it's just about timing. I think Mayo have got Donegal at a bad time because remember last year we said this on the full preview pod that Donegal absolutely killed it for the first 3 games and then just took their foot off the gas. They realized that they were safe. Mayo have got them in the 3rd game, so Donegal will still put out a good hand for this. Like Donegal will still go for the win. They're going to try and just, all right, let's make sure that we're sorted here. We beat Dublin, we beat Kerry. Let's beat Mayo and then secure our Division 1 status. But if Mayo can go away to Donegal and beat them, it is a noteworthy result. And like I personally think in terms of the appointments, in terms of the candidates that were there, I think they've nailed it getting Andy Moore in. I think he's the perfect manager for this job, for these circumstances right now. It's very, very interesting. The other thing here, Peter talking as well, the tight pitch will suit Donegal. They'll spring Murphy with 15 minutes to go. Donegal by 5. Dublin is great saying Mayo by 2 and also has a good question. I always find it strange. Sunday Sport on RT Radio starts 15 minutes after the game. Just why? I actually might have an answer for you, to be honest, because I heard this and it is absolutely hilarious. If a game starts at around the time of the Angelus, like the radio still has to let the Angelus play.
Yeah, we're the same. We do
the most Irish thing I've ever heard in my life.
I'll give you that.
We the radio to listen to the Angelus. I don't know.
You say that we do every Sunday before, say.
Really?
I'll give you the example. This weekend we're playing Cork and we're doing the commentary for that. Will O'Callaghan, Nelly first with the obituaries for the first few minutes, and then it's straight over to the commentary. It's very common. It's actually more common. Crazy. Matthew, if you're coming up to Offaly this weekend, sure, we'll get you to do the obituaries and you can come down to O'Connor Park if you want.
Unbelievable. But yeah, Liam, I'll throw it back over to you. What are you expecting from this game, Donegal Mayo?
Well, as usual, I'm expecting it to be fiery and probably not as dramatic as what we got last summer, but I still think it's going to be a good game. And yeah, look, obviously I know I predicted Mayo to finish 7th and it probably looks very silly now predicting that, but you've made a good point. Mayo, it's probably something I probably should have considered before even making the prediction that I did. Andy Moran, I do like him as a coach. I do like him as a manager. Loved him as a player. And obviously, like you mentioned, he would have wanted a good start with Mayo because they were written off by a lot of people. And he would have wanted to prove a few doubters wrong. And already getting a very good away win against Galway and a very good win at home to Dublin. Like, at the moment, he's riding a crest wave at the moment. You know, he's in such he's in such high demand and such high regard at the moment with this Mayo team. But then at the same time, you look at Donegal beating Kerry, albeit I know Kerry had a lot of players out and Donegal probably weren't at their full throttle either, if we're being honest. Like, it probably felt like shadow boxing in comparison to what we might get later on the year if they meet in a semi-final or a final. But at the same time, they've 2 wins out of 2 as well. You know, and at the same time, Jim potentially could be looking at it this year, and especially with, say, the way he was the opening night in Croke Park, you know, in his press conference afterwards. Could he be looking at the league now, maybe changing his mind, thinking, do you know what? It did Kerry no harm last year winning the league.
Yeah.
What if we went on and won it? And it shut up a few people as well, and it made the rest of the country kind of take a step back and go, right, they won Ulster last year, they've won the league now, and they were in All-Ireland final last year. They really mean business. And winning's a habit. Winning trophies, say what you want, the league is still a trophy at the end of the day. It breeds confidence and it breeds belief. So I think we could see the two teams going at it this weekend fully. Like, it's a shame we don't have, say, the starting 15s now, but I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Murphy did start. If he genuinely just said, you know what? I don't know why. I just have a weird feeling he could just say, do you know what? High ball in on top of Mayo. Obviously, he's more than just that because he's an absolutely unbelievably technical footballer. But I just wouldn't be surprised if Jim just said this weekend, you know what? If we could get 3 wins out of 3, we've put ourselves in a really good position here to get to a potential league final. They've Dublin out of the way. They've Kerry out of the way. Mayo out of the way. You'd expect them to probably beat Roscommon and Monaghan at this point. And then, you know, maybe pick up a win against either Armagh or Galway. And sure, you're sucking diesel. You're delighted. You're almost there. So I think it's going to be a cracking game. Personally, I always love when these two teams face off against each other. I wouldn't be shocked if Mayo did win this game, but at the same time, you're a brave man half the time to be writing off Jim McGuinness. So it's going to be an interesting battle.
It will be very, very interesting. We have a couple of very good comments in here. First, Jordan saying Paul Durkin, the 2012 Donegal All-Ireland winning goalkeeper, a huge addition to the Mayo backroom team as well, as he is good friends with Andy Moore. And it'd be interesting, him being on the line. Peter saying Kev Cassidy saying Jimmy's going for the league, Jimmy winning leagues. We also then have a couple of predictions in here from Dara Wilson. He says Kerry Galway will be some game. Huge Armagh fan here. I think Galway will win by about 3 or 4. Kerry haven't been good this year. Roscommon should have beat them in round 1 and lost by 4 to Donegal. I think Donegal will win the All-Ireland this year. And Dara also says Donegal to beat Mayo by 2. It will be close like last year. Andy Moore, and Mayo legend, has been a good coach for Mayo this year. Mayo and Donegal. Donegal 221, Mayo 25 points is his score prediction. That's the other thing, is that I think this game is going to be quite high scoring. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's weirdly high scoring. The conditions, we all know they're going to be terrible. So it's going to be, do you know what I could see? Because of the conditions, I could see one team being so far ahead at halftime. I could see one of them, whoever has the win in the first half, leading by about 9 points at halftime because of the wind. They'd be belting over the 2-pointers. Like, if it's Donegal to have the win, you know Darrell Boyle's going to be chipping over 2-pointers. And but then the second half, there'll be a bit of a fight back. Matthew, can I throw it over to you first to give the predictions, and then you tell me what you're thinking about the game, but then nail your colours to the mast and we'll follow suit.
Yeah, I'd probably go for Donegal to win this. Like, Mayo, they had good wins over Kerry and Dublin, obviously, in the first 2 rounds, but even look at their scores, they've only had 3 scores above 5 points, and one of them is Robbie Henley, who took 2-pointed frees. It's only been Darragh Byrne and Ryan O'Donoghue, and they've had 12 different scores, which might be a bit of a concern for Mayo. I know they've started well, but it might be a stat that maybe catches up with them. Whereas you look at Donegal, they have more different scores, 14, and then when you look at the players above 5 points, you have 4 of them. You have Conor O'Donnell, you have Gavin Mulroney, you have Darragh Boyle, and you have Michael Langan. That's not including Michael Murphy. That's not including Oisin Gallen, who hasn't returned yet. I think Donegal are in a very, very good position at this present moment of time. I agree with the lads. I think they'll go for the league. I said from the very start that they'll win the league. I think Jimmy would want a national trophy on the board because obviously did Kerry no harm. What this Donegal need to progress is to win a league title or a national title. I think this might be a step to do that. I agree completely with Liam. If they win their third game, you'd imagine they'll beat Roscommon and Monaghan. That's already 10 points on the board. That's usually enough to make a league final, especially in Division 1. So if they win this game, they're right for road then. So I think they will go for this game. I think they will win this game. I think Donegal will win it by about 3 or 4 points.
Very interesting. Aaron, can I get your prediction next?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 2-point win for Donegal. Like I do agree. I think like with Mayo, there might be a big focus on goals. Maybe they have been kind of free scoring in terms of goals so far, but yeah, I think Donegal will be far too strong. Like with Mayo as well, like interesting enough, they'd 50% shot accuracy against Dublin, which is interesting, which shows maybe one of two things. They're creating a lot of chances, first of all, but they're obviously missing a lot of chances as well. And I don't think they'll get the same time and space against Donegal as to what they got against Dublin. I think Donegal will be far better defensively in regards to that, while it's also punishing Mayo the other way. I still think Mayo will give a good account of themselves, and it'll be sort of like a valiant defeat, if you want to call it that, but still expect Donegal to win by 2.
Liam?
Yeah, I'm going to say Donegal by 5, but I kind of agree with what you're saying. I could see it being one side having like a 8, 9, 10 point lead at half time, judging by whatever way the wind and the rain, because let's be honest, it's Ireland, the rain is going to fall. But then I could see Donegal being maybe 9 points up at half time, Mayo pushing it back maybe to even a point, but then Donegal maybe getting a late surge, a late goal, or maybe just a couple of late 2-pointers and seeing Mayo off something like a 22 points to 17 or something like that anyways. But yeah, like Donegal's 2 games so far, they've been high scoring games. Mayo's was high scoring against Galway. Obviously, the Dublin one, they still put over 118 as well. So yeah, I'm expecting both teams to definitely go for it, and I'm expecting a high scoring game as well. So watch this now turn into 11 points to 9 or something.
I'm going to agree with Aaron, and it's absolutely no underestimating of Mayo. I just think that Donegal are going to be going for this, especially because we're still in the first 3 games, and right now I don't think anyone in this division would go away to Donegal and beat them right now in this 3rd game. I don't think anyone would do it because they're absolutely at the pitch of it. They have their home advantage. I think the trip away to Donegal is by far the toughest away day in Division 1. You're going up there, the conditions are probably going to be terrible, and you're very much playing them on their terms, in their field, and Jim McGuinness is going to be absolutely waiting for you with a plan of how to take you apart. I think Donegal will shade it. I'm going to go with about 2 or 3 points, but if Mayo win this game, it's a huge statement in terms of like, not in terms of like, I don't think the hype will shoot through the roof, but quietly, if you're paying attention, it's one to be like, okay, that's a good win. That's a very, very good win. So there's a lot there for them this weekend. I think it'd be very, very interesting because I am fascinated by Andy Moran as a coach. Like, I have to be honest, because I mean this in the nicest way. Do you ever get the idea that he absolutely got the most out of what he was capable of as a player? Do you get? He was so professional. He was so he always held himself to the highest standard. Like, I wouldn't have said that he was like one of those naturally unbelievably gifted players like someone like Colin Cooper or Diarmuid Connolly that could roll out of bed and they just have it. But Andy Moran was so professional. He got the absolute maximum out of what he could deliver. And that tells me that he's going to be a really, really good coach because he got the most out of himself. Therefore, he's going to have a little bit more of a natural instinct to get the most out of other people as well. Like, do you ever see in football, I know we've talked about this before, but how players like Thierry Henry are always absolutely shit managers because they can't understand why you're not as good as he used to be. Why can't you just rainbow flick it over your man's head and stick it in the top corner? Like, they don't understand that type of stuff. But there are exceptions. Obviously, like Zidane was an amazing coach and stuff like that. But in the general scheme of things, you think about most of the best managers that we've had in the game. Like, seriously think about it. Jim Gavin, not the flashy superstar. Jack O'Connor, not a flashy superstar for Kerry. Mickey Hart, same thing again. John Kiley. Like, these people are like, it's people who understand how to get the most out of someone, not just be like a natural genius. Like they know how to get the worker bees. Matthew, you're looking to me like you disagree slightly.
Yeah, because you were saying that about Thierry Henry saying, why can't you do what I do? I can think of an exact, and this is not bashing anymore, but I could think of an exact kind of replica kind of situation with this. Andy Moore managed the Leitrim team that was the first Connacht team to lose to New York. So
that was a good New York team, though.
It was, but it was the first to beat a Connacht team.
Yeah, but was it not the year before that they took someone to extra time? Am I getting that wrong? Or the year before they knew Sligo or something?
Yeah.
So it was on the horizon.
I don't think he did that much with Leitrim though, Andy Moore. He did well with Monaghan as a coach. I think he did excellent there.
I thought you were disagreeing with my assessment on what most managers are made good by. I think he's done, like, the reality is, like, again, you don't want to come across harsh, but since he's left Leitrim, they've got noticeably worse.
Yeah.
And you do wonder, like, was he holding stuff together there? Like, or maybe Poacher just hasn't been a good appointment to replace him. Like, you don't know. Actually, do you know what Darryl Wilson said has come in with a few good examples on either side. You've got Jack O'Connor on one side, but then Kieran McGeeney, Mick O'Dwyer. Mick O'Dwyer was an amazing player in his day.
The exception.
Mick O'Dwyer is the exception. Kevin Heffernan, we can go in. Billy Morgan, Paddy Cullen. There's a lot of exceptions. But I do think it's interesting. Mick O'Dwyer again. I know Mick O'Dwyer and Heffo were amazing, but like what they had was just like that uber professionalism that they brought to their craft, and then it took them so simply into management. What I'm saying basically is like mavericks, players that are a little bit wild, that can do the crazy things, don't tend to make unbelievable managers. Maybe there'll be an exception, but I wouldn't side with it. But yeah, so we're all going for Donegal. It will be interesting to see if we all agree on this one. Kerry against Galway, Saturday at 5 p.m. in Austin Stack Park. Kerry have the home advantage for this one. The last time they had a home advantage, they did win narrowly. Very controversial win, of course, that one over Roscommon. Tomas Kennedy, you had a brilliant game, fisted it over. This time they host Galway, another team from the West. Liam, what are you expecting from this one?
Again, I suppose, look, it does depend on what team Kerry does throw out. I have seen the Galway team. I believe there's no Shane Walsh in the panel this weekend, which is obviously going to be a big miss for them. But then Galway will take a lot of confidence from the fact that they've beaten Armagh. Whether you say they deserved it or not, because look, for me, Armagh probably, just from the bits I did see of that game, because I was at another game that night, Armagh did deserve to win that game overall. But at the end of the day, they didn't. Galway did. And going away, I would have probably argued there with you that probably the Athletic Grounds would probably be another really, really arguably tough place to go to in the league, and especially under lights as well, like you mentioned. But obviously Galway went there and won by a point and got 3 goals there. So maybe I'm talking rubbish here. But no, I think this could be a potential banana skin for Kerry. But the only thing is, I'd say after losing to Donegal, like, Jack O'Connor, you saw it last year after losing to Meath in the fashion that he did. And then they went on and just absolutely blitzed everybody on their way to an All-Ireland. Could one defeat be the thing that just makes Jack O'Connor switch and just go, not having that again? Do you know, could he just absolutely unleash the beast this weekend and just say, take out Galway as best as ye can and make sure you show the rest of the country that we're still the best out of everybody here and that we're still probably favourites to win the All-Ireland? So, look, if you get the Cliffords back in, then absolutely for me, Kerry win this game as somebody is working on a chainsaw outside. What the hell is going on? Sorry if you hear that in the background. To the country, lads. But yeah, look, I think Kerry will win this game, mostly just depending on the team that they select. Having home advantage is obviously crucial as well. I'd say they probably have dusted off some of the cobwebs of playing against Roscommon the first day and Donegal. But yeah, it makes for an interesting contest. I wouldn't be writing off Galway, especially after beating Armagh away from home. But I think if Jack O'Connor goes with relatively mostly his strongest team, I think Kerry should win this one.
It's going to be a really, really interesting clash, because I've seen it being mentioned on the RT Sport podcast that like Galway have put themselves in a much better position now with that win against Armagh, because had they have lost that game, this game is going to be a very, very difficult win. Like, it's going to be a very difficult. If they lose this and they hadn't got something from the Armagh game, then they'd be 3 defeats out of 3 and very much staring relegation in the face. Does that, though, kind of knock them in this game, Aaron, that maybe they won't have that same desperation?
I think so. It definitely alleviates the pressure a little bit, I think. I think if at the start of the season, like when Galway were probably looking at games and targeting points, and don't get me wrong, I don't think they all would have been sat there in a room picking out matches and we'll win this, we won't win this. But I think certainly maybe collectively or subconsciously they would have been looking at certain games, thinking where's the points going to come from. And look, to be fair, Armagh away mightn't have been one of those games, but they obviously came through it in the end. Going away to Kerry, look, it will be very, very difficult. It is going to be interesting to see if David Clifford comes back in for this game. He played the opening day versus Roscommon. He didn't play last week. Like, could it be a case that he's going to play the home games, maybe not so much the away games? Or is he just going to be left out against other All-Ireland contenders because Jack doesn't want to give too much away in regards to that? But I think for Galway, look, I think Galway's main focus, especially with the older players and everything else that have been in the panel, without question, is the All-Ireland. That's the one they nearly won a couple of years ago. I don't think they're going to be too bothered about this league. I think the main thing for them is obviously to avoid relegation. That's going to be the focus. Look, they've got 2 points on the board. They'll be looking at certain games that, certain fixtures that they still have to play that they can see themselves winning. The likes of Roscommon, the likes of Monaghan, they play Dublin at home on the final day, which, who knows, could be a bit of a relegation playoff the way things are going. I'm kind of hoping Galway actually are already safe by then, so that we can kind of catch them on that day. But but look, at the same time, look, the pressure's off Galway, so like that could suit them as well. Do you know what I mean? And they scored a lot of goals. They created a lot of goal chances versus Armagh, and a lot of people have been saying they create a lot of goal chances versus Mayo as well. So that could definitely be something to watch in this game, is goals, because that's been something that Galway have been very, very good at so far in this campaign.
Can I throw it back to you for the prediction? I can't put Matthew on the spot first again. This time I realised that it's shaping up that way. So I'm going to throw it back over to you. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Kerry to win it. I just think the home advantage. I think some of their better players will come in for this game as well. I think you might see, I'm not too sure about Paddy Clifford maybe, but I think David Clifford will probably come back into the side. Sean O'Shea's been in good form. Tony Brosnan as well. Be interested to see if some of the Dingle lads come back. Maybe it might be too soon, to be fair, but I fancy Kerry. I think it's going to be a bit of a goal fest, to be honest with you. I think this is a game where I could see Kerry scoring 3 or 4 goals, Galway getting 2 or 3 as well. Like, I think this is going to be a bit of a cracker with the new rules and everything else. So yeah, I'll go with Kerry by 5.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be like Hagler hands. Like, I think they're both just going to come out and start swinging at each other. They're both just going to go for the jugular from the start. I don't think either of them are going to be sweating over whether they lose this game. I think they're both going to want to pick up bits of information. Mikey there talking as well about Galway needing a spread of scorers. I think, like, if someone throws their hand up in this game, as give it to me, I'm the go-to man here. This is the game to put your hand up. Right? This is the game. If you want to help Rob Finnerty carrying the baggage whenever Walsh and Comer aren't there, like, this is the game to get Pádraig Joyce's trust. A lot of players aren't there. Matthew Thompson's not there. Tom O'Callaghan's not there. There's a spot up there as the next man up. So it'll be very interesting to see who does the business for Galway. I don't think this is the game they're going to win. I think Kerry with home advantage. I think it's going to be difficult to go away there and beat them. Like, Roscommon were absolutely fired up to the teeth and should have won, but they didn't. And Kerry got away with the win. So I think Galway going down there, I'm going to say that Kerry take it. Any disagreements, lads? Matthew, I'll throw it to you first.
No, so I think if David Clifford plays this game, I think Kerry will win this. I think they'll win it comfortably, to be honest with you. I watched the full Galway and Armagh game, and yes, Galway won the game, and a lot of people might be impressed by that, but a few stats really stuck out, and they're not good from a Galway point of view. Out of the 3-12 Galway score, 3-8 was contributed by Rob Finnerty, either assisting or scoring. That's that can continue from a Galway point of view. They need more players to step up. They need more players to stand counted. And as well as that, in the second half, Galway only won 2 kickouts. Two long kickouts in the second half. And one of them led to the winning point. Shane McGlinchey, I think, caught the ball, the substitute. But is that sustainable for the future? Probably not. And I think a lot of people have been asking me about this, that normally if you win midfield, you win the battle. But Galway completely lost midfield against Armagh. I mean, completely lost it. And
How did they win? How did they win?
They still came out with the win. That was the thing. But yeah, kind of a weird thing there. But I think Kerry won't be as unforgiving as Armagh. Like Armagh in goal scoring positions, they were fisted the ball over the bar. I think that was Armagh's undoing. That was the only thing Armagh really did wrong in that game. But when you look at Kerry, if they see a chance, they'll bury it in the back of the net. I think if Galway play the same way as they did in the Athletic Grounds, and especially the same way against Mayo, I think Kerry will win this game. I think they could win it comfortably, to be honest with you. I'm not convinced about Galway, as some people make them out to be fair.
Very interesting. Liam, are you going for the clean sweep for Kerry?
Yeah, I'm going clean sweep. I think Kerry, after losing against Donegal, I think Jack will want a response. And like you said, they're going down to winning Kerry. Like you mentioned there, Roscommon, the way they performed down there and they still didn't win probably tells you everything you need to know, that Kerry, even on their bad days, are still winning. So yeah, I'm going to go with Kerry to win this one comfortably.
Would you look at that? Valentine's weekend podcast and we're all agreeing with each other. Clean sweep on the predictions. It's lovely to see. I wonder, and like that love is going to end very quickly if you disagree with us here on this one now. Dublin against Monaghan, Saturday at 7 p.m. in Croke Park. Two sides that desperately need a win. No question about it. Both sides have lost their first 2 games and now come up against each other. I'm going to go out with a bit of a bold statement here. I think whoever loses this is down. Aaron, do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree with you. Because
statement, is it?
no. I think it's one of them. Like, look, Monaghan. What I would say is maybe Monaghan can turn it around. If they were to lose this game, that's the only thing I would say. Just because they could go on a run and win a couple of games. I think their fixture list is a little bit nicer after this game. What I would say about Dublin though is after this game we then play Kerry in the next game. Like, don't get me wrong, look, if Dublin beat Monaghan, maybe we go in with a bit of confidence and we might have a chance versus Kerry. But if we lose to Monaghan, there's no way we're beating Kerry. Absolutely not. And they'll smell blood as well. And look, that's a game in Croke Park where Clifford will probably want to play and they'll play their best players and everything else. And Kerry will look at that as 2 very easy points, to be honest with you. And then you're 4 defeats in. Look, there is winnable games after this, you know, from a Dublin perspective. I think Roscommon away, I think Galway away in the final day, maybe Armagh at home if they potentially start turning their attention towards Ulster. But again, it will depend on their situation in the league because we'll see where they're at. But yeah, no, this is a huge game for both counties. And I don't know about you, Seamus, but I want Dublin to play. No messing around here. They need to play their best team. They're the championship level team, in my opinion. Con played the first day, was rested the second day. Cormac Costello came back. Both of them should play. If Kieran Kilkenny is going to be in the panel, he needs to play as well. So does Brian Howard. Get all the best players. Luke Brecknock out there. Because, you know, what's like, if we don't play our best players for this game, then what's the point? We just want to go down to Division 2 then, basically. That's all that's kind of saying. Because Monaghan are definitely going to play their best team. So we need to play ours.
Yeah, this is a home game against one of the promoted sides. Like, you need to be winning this one if you want to stay in the division. Like, if you lose games like this, you are in serious trouble of going down. And the reality is that it was the 3rd game for me last year. Sorry, the last time we got relegated. There was a 3rd game where I was like, oh shit, this is actually happening. Like, we're actually going down. Like, if we lose this game, it's going to have that ripple effect where all of a sudden you look at the next games coming up, you look at who we still have to play. We still have to play Kerry. Like, we still have to play Armagh. Like, it doesn't get easier after this. So we need to get points on the board in this one. Monaghan will also know that, though. Like, Monaghan have lost to Roscommon, one of the teams that they would have been picked, you know, that if they're going to stay up, they have to win that game. They've lost that one, so they're going to need to be like highlighting the games that they can win. I think Monaghan will highlight this one because let's not forget the last time the sides played each other in the league under the lights in Croke Park, Monaghan won. Stephen O'Hanlon put on an absolute exhibition and Monaghan got out with the points. So it is not out of the realm of possibility that Monaghan do it again. Absolutely not out of the realm of possibility. But I'm going to say that Dublin win this. Please take it serious. I agree with you, Aaron. Like, no experiment. Start the big lads and start Luke Brannock as well again. He's looking fantastic. Let's get our best foot forward here, get the win. And then in games where maybe we're not expected to win, as long as our bread's buttered and we're staying up, then I wouldn't mind rotating the squad and getting ready for the future. Also, if someone could please bring Brian Fenton to Croke Park, tell him that he's watching the game, and then just bring a kit for him and throw him in. God, we miss Brian Fenton so much. But anyway, if he could come back, that would be unbelievable. Killian, the football genius, of course, guest on the show last week, or a couple of weeks ago. He says, big up lads, Dublin to win comfortably, in my opinion. Much more quality still compared to Monaghan at the minute. Killian, I'd love to get your take on our next game. Is anybody disagreeing, by the way, before you move to Roscommon Armagh?
No.
All down Dublin? Yeah. Okay. Any 2 cents to add before I move on, or are we happy to move on?
No, happy enough to move on.
Okay. I'll go to Roscommon Armagh next. Killian, I'd love to get your opinion on this as well. I think we had someone else in the chat who's a big Armagh fan, Gavin O'Reilly. I don't know if you're watching, but love to get the Roscommon side as well. Roscommon against Armagh, Sunday at 2 p.m. in Dr. Hyde Park. What do we think about this one, lads? Armagh, of course, fresh off the back of losing a home tie to Galway. Now they go away to the Hyde, notoriously difficult ground to go to. Matthew, what are you expecting from this one?
Two sides very much on form, and I think that will come into this game as well. I think this will be probably one of the games of the weekend, I think. I think Armagh are going very, very well. Don't let the scoreline fool you against Galway or the results. I thought Armagh were very, very good for the majority of it, and I think literally the only thing they did wrong was fist the ball over the bar in the last few minutes. Hindsight's a beautiful thing, obviously. If they would have known Galway would have got back into the game, they would have banned them into the back of the net. But they need to have more of a ruthless streak, I would think, Armagh, in getting over the line. But their players have really, really impressed. Oisin O'Neill has been brilliant. Conor Turbot contributed to scores the last game. Might not have scored. He only scored 1 point against Galway, but he was brilliant at contributing scores and assisting opportunities. Jardy O'Byrne's very impressive in this league campaign from wing back. Has probably been one of the players of the league. In all honesty, Andrew Murnan around the middle of the park. He didn't score anything against Galway. He scored 1-3 against Monaghan. But I thought he was very, very good at collecting long ball. I think off Galway's long kickouts, Andrew Murnan collected 4 or 5 of them balls clean, which was very, very impressive. There is an argument to say, look, I discussed this with Killian, actually, very interesting discussion about Callum O'Neill and potentially Ben Creeley in midfield. Is there, like, I asked him, should Callum O'Neill start the championship? Not to discredit Callum O'Neill. I think he's been absolutely excellent over the last few years for Armagh. But you have that dilemma now for Kieran McGeeney. Do you start Andrew Murnan in the midfield? Do you put Ben Creeley on the bench? Then again, Ben Creeley has performed well over the last few seasons. So it's an interesting take. And it's incredible in its own right because Noel Grimley's not on the panel anymore. So Armagh have those options in the midfield, which tells you more about the panel more than anything else. And that's a credit to Armagh and Kieran McGeeney for building those players up in many ways. Ross McQuillan's been impressive from wing back. Oisin Connaughton was very, very lively, buzzing around against Galway as well. I think a lot of these Armagh players are performing very, very well. There might be an onus on them to die down towards the end of the league, obviously with Tyrone later on in the Ulster Championship later in the year. But having said about Armagh's traits, I think Roscommon have been very good as well. Dermot Murtagh has been flying up front. I think Enda Smith has been brilliant around the middle of the park. Dara Craig, Owen Colleran, the top scorer from playing the Sigurdsson Cup. If he gets minutes, I think he'll be a brilliant player for Roscommon as well. And they've lost some massive players in the off-season, Roscommon. Like the likes of the Niall Dailies, the Donny Smiths, these sorts of players, obviously the Kieran Murtaghs, they lost these in the off-season and they still contribute players and things like that. It's absolutely incredible from Roscommon, and they probably will have the Bridges players back. Again, like what Aaron said about Dingle, it might be a bit too soon, but if they do have the Bridges players back, I'm expecting a very, very good game here. Having said all that, though, I've been more impressed over the last few years more than anything with Armagh and I feel like they'll get the win over the line this would. It'll be tight. I think Roscommon have surprisingly impressed me in this league campaign, but I think Armagh will just edge this. I think they'll win by 2.
Interesting. Liam, what do you think about this one?
I think this is going to be a game that Armagh are going to win very, very late on. I could see Roscommon doing here what they did against Kerry, just going absolutely all out and saying to themselves, do you know what? We're welcoming the All-Ireland champions from 2024, a team that arguably last year, had they gotten over Kerry, I'd have probably predicted them to go on and actually win the All-Ireland again. And like Matthew said there, they've been excellent in their opening 2 games. Look, the Galway results, it happened, it's done, but they were excellent in that game. They bullied Monaghan off the pitch. What they scored, 126 from play out of 127. Like outrageous shooting from them. Like they've got 147 in 2 games. Like that's absolute scandalous scoring, to be honest with you, in football terms anyways. So I think Roscommon, like Matthew said there, Murtagh, Craig, Smith, I mean, the last day, they were absolutely on fire. They were absolutely savage last day. I believe that's what, 3-11, if my maths is correct, overall from the 3 of them out of 316. And if you can get those players firing once again, then yeah, Armagh could be in trouble potentially in the first half. And like you mentioned there, Hyde Park, not an easy place to go to in the slightest. And Roscommon will be on such a high after winning that game against Monaghan as well, knowing that they have a victory under their belt and they had a strong performance against Kerry the first day as well. But I just think Armagh will get over the line. I just think they will have enough in the end. I think like what Matthew said there, I think this will be actually the game of the weekend from Division 1A or Division 1 anyways, for sure. I think we could be looking at something like, I don't know, 124 to 316 or something, something like that, where Armagh just about edged at the end, but you're on the edge of your seat the whole way through. So I think it's going to be a cracking game. I'm really looking forward to it, but I just think Armagh, the way they're playing at the moment, like Matthew said there, I don't even have an issue with, say, them fisting the ball over the bar. Look, it still scores, but if they could just be a small bit more ruthless in front of goal and try and adapt that as the league goes on and be ready for the championship, then yeah, I think Armagh will be a team that everybody will be looking out for this year, thinking, fuck, I don't want to be playing them this weekend.
Yeah, well said. And Peter here saying draw. We had that last week. We're not jumping in to call every game a draw again. Tom with a great comment here saying Aaron McKay was missing a fullback against Galway. He isn't mentioned much, but he is a major key in Armagh's defence. It showed last year when he was out all season, and he was crucial to their All-Ireland win, of course, in 24. Got the goal, of course, remember, in that All-Ireland final against Galway. I'm actually going to go with the Rossies to win this game, though. I really do. I think home advantage and the way that they beat Monaghan was really, really impressive. That wasn't like they doubled down on being super impressive the first day out against Kerry, and that trip away from home to play against Kerry in round 1 was an extremely difficult away day. Now they've got home advantage against an Armagh side that are fresh off the back of a defeat to Galway, who weren't in the best of form themselves. So there is no question about it. Armagh have the potential to absolutely dominate teams. I don't doubt that for a second. I predicted Monaghan to beat them, and we all know how that game went. So I wouldn't be stunned if something similar happens here. But I just do believe home advantage, Roscommon will be difficult to beat. If they have the Bridges lads back in, I think it would make them even harder to beat. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Rossies. I'm going to go with the Rossies by 2. Aaron, is it 2-2 or is it 3-1?
It's 3-1, but only narrowly, to be fair. Yeah, I do agree with that as well.
I was looking for the equaliser.
You're the odd one out, unfortunately. But no, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way. It is an interesting game because, it's both teams have looked very good in both their games. After this game, there's a small possibility maybe both teams have dropped points in 2 out of the 3 games, but you could be one of these teams could be sat on 2 points with 2 defeats. Considering how well they've kind of started the season, it'd be a little bit unusual to kind of see that. I think Armagh just have a little bit more firepower, in my opinion, than Roscommon. I think going to the Hyde, always a difficult place to go to. It'd be interesting to see with the weather as well, what it's going to be like in that part of the country, because we know they do get quite bad in those parts, to be fair, and how much of an impact that could have on this game. I think Armagh narrowly. I agree with Liam as well. I think this could be one of them games where there's a late 2-pointer. Hopefully there's no controversy or anything like that, but I do feel like this could be something that goes absolutely down to the wire. And I think Armagh just probably have a little bit more, in my opinion. So yeah, I'll go with them to win by points.
Do you know who's they're reminding me of so far, just with the Kerry game? It gave me flashbacks. Do you remember Kildare got relegated from Division 1 a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
And you're thinking, God, they didn't deserve to go down. They were so good. Or even Westmeath last year in Division 2, where the amount of games that they could have won, or they could have got something out of it. And that's why that situation with Tomas Kennedy was so big, because you knew at the time there's a chance that really costs Roscommon down the line. So that's why it became such a big controversy as well. But anyway, we've gone with that. I'm the only man who picked different. The rest, we all went the same way. But we'll see what happens with Division 2. Starting off with this game, Meath against Louth, Saturday at 5 p.m. in Croke Park. Interestingly, this one is a double header with Dublin versus Monaghan. And Dublin weren't even in the Leinster Final, yet they're the main event after the Leinster Final rematch between Meath and Louth. Interesting one. Liam, what are you expecting from this? A repeat of last year's Leinster Football Final?
It's box office. Meath and Louth in Croke Park is absolute box office, to be honest with you. It's one of the games. It's like Kilkenny Tipperary when they play in Croke Park for me. It's just because of the history of what's happened, and obviously the controversy in 2010, the drama last year of Louth winning a first Leinster title this century, and denying Meath, who knocked Dublin out after 15 years. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I think, look, I backed Louth at the start of the league to finish second, and I think after they bet us on the opening day, I was thinking, they weren't unbelievable against us, but they got the job done. That shows how much progression that they have made. But then, look, just judging on, obviously from Matthew's report and what Matthew was saying, because he was at the match against Cork, it didn't sound positive from their perspective. Whereas on the other hand, you look at Meath, okay, you could say Cavan were unlucky not to beat them, but Meath went up to a very difficult ground and grinded out a win. That shows a shift in their mentality as well, and they got a great win on the opening day against Derry, and they are absolutely 100,000% targeting promotion to Division 1 because they feel they are good enough to be there. They've beaten Galway, they've beaten Kerry, they've beaten Dublin over the last year. So I have a feeling, look, as much as I do like this Louth team and I have backed them a bit early on this season, I can't look past a Meath victory at the moment, to be honest with you. Like, to get wins against two very good Ulster sides as well early on would have done them absolutely zero harm whatsoever. And look, I just think Meath are in a very good place at the moment. Right now, probably potentially favourites for the Leinster Championship when we go into it. Obviously, look, you still have Dublin, you've Louth, whatever, but Kildare potentially as well. But I just think at the moment, when you have players like Jordan Morris, who's on form, you have Owen Frayne, who could just turn it on like that, Kinsella at centre forward. I mean, their the half forward line they played the last day of Conor Duke, Rory Kinsella and Matthew Costello. I mean, that's a half forward line most teams across the country would absolutely kill to have. So I think Meath will probably dominate this game a small bit. I think Louth will put up a good fight. Probably I expect them to have a reaction to the Cork game 100%, and it's against Meath, so they'll obviously be up for it. But I could just see Meath winning this game, something like a 20 points to 113 or something.
Do you know, you'd go to this game just to watch Jordan Morris play, the form he's in right now. I mean, the tricks that he has, the bag of tricks he has, and that point that he got in the Sigerson Cup off the outside of the boot was one of the best scores I think I've seen in a long, long time. I agree with Julian. I'm going for Meath to win this game. I think home advantage. Interesting that I'm saying that. Home advantage. Sounds funny, doesn't it? But home advantage anymore. I can't believe they're playing their home games in Croke Park. Teams shouldn't be allowed to do that. But anyway, when we're talking about this game, Meath going into this one, I do think, it sounds harsh, but I do think that emotion played a big part in Louth winning last year's Leinster Final. If you look at it on the day, Louth struck at like crucial moments and got the goal from Craig Lennon and got, the goal from Ryan Burns and things like that. But Meath did get, am I correct, Matthew, in saying that did Meath get more scores? Like, did they score more times?
Yeah. I think they did, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was the type of game where Meath probably win that game more often than Louth do. If you were to play it 10 times, like, I think Meath would probably win 6 and Louth win 4. And that was just one of those days where it fell for them, and the emotion and everything like that, I think, played a big part in them getting over the line. This game, there's no real emotion coming into it, not to the same level anyway. I do think there will be a decent crowd, but I think it will be much colder. It'll be much more like the Derry game where it's just business. And I really do believe that Meath right now, the form that they're in, I think they're a better team. And I think Meath are going to win. I would actually agree. I think right now, I think it's between... I think Meath are probably slight favourites for Leinster. I think we're significant dark horses that you have to take serious to reclaim the crown. But it's the first time, Aaron, as Dub fans, that I've looked at the Meath team and gone, you know what, yeah, there's probably a few of these lads that would start for Dublin right now.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I think, and I know it does sound weird, maybe to say it because it was only 3, 4, 5 years ago we were talking about the Leinster football needing open heart surgery, and there was letters being sent by ex-players to the GAA and everything. It's kind of crazy how quickly it's changed. But I think at this stage,
what I wouldn't do to have Jack Flynn in our midfield.
I know.
Yeah, Brian Menton, you could switch it around and
Brian Menton, yeah.
No,
I'd probably take that at this stage. But look, I think to be honest, like after what Meath have done last season on the basis of the opening 2 games, I think you would have to say they're slight favourites. Look, when it comes to obviously a lot of football has to be played between now and then, and it would be a Leinster final if Dublin and Meath were to play each other, given on the draw. But yeah, like bringing it back to this game, I do agree with you lads as well. Like I think Meath will be far too strong here. I think Louth have looked surprisingly flat and maybe a little bit worryingly flat. Like a lot of their bigger players haven't really kind of hit the ground running. A lot of the players you kind of associate with Louth football. And obviously Matthew will be able to give a bit more of a reflection on Louth football. I haven't seen them close up, but from what I've seen, they have been quite flat. So I'd agree with you lads as well. I think Meath, I actually think this could be a bit of a hammering, to be honest with you. I think this could be 10, 11 points. I think Meath could really put it on Louth here. Like when you look at what they're scoring and how well they're playing in terms of attack, I do worry a little bit for Louth here, to be honest.
Okay. Matthew, is it a clean sweep for Meath?
Absolutely, yeah. I think Meath will win this game. But this is a sort of game, I agree with Liam here, that Louth seem to always be up for, obviously for an obvious reason, because they got robbed in 2010. Obviously, we mentioned that every time we come across this fixture. But yeah, Louth always seem to be up for this game against Meath, and that's always been the case. I will say that having watched the Louth and Cork game, Cork should have won that game by about 10, 11 points. I'll be honest with you. And that's an indication that Louth just aren't, of course, it might be an indication that Cork are going in the right direction as well, but it does show an indication that Louth kind of, and I said this in the predictions video, they've kind of reached their ceiling and they can't get any higher than this. Won a Leinster Championship, got to the All-Ireland quarter-final, and unfortunately, this sort of has to come to an end at some point, and I feel like it's coming to an end now for this Louth team. I think Meath will win this game. They've looked very, very impressive throughout the 2 games so far, and they're in a very, very healthy position to potentially get promoted out of this division.
So we're going for a clean sweep there. The next game is going to be a bit of fun. Offaly versus Cork, Sunday at 2 p.m. in O'Connor Park. Gentlemen, protect yourself at all times. Follow my instructions. You cannot defend yourself. I will stop the fight. Offaly against Cork. Lads, what are we expecting from this? Matthew, I'll throw it to you first, given that Liam has home advantage.
Well, to be fair, look, so far, I've been very, very impressed with Cork. I have been impressed with them. I think Sean Walsh and Colin McCallan have done well around the middle of the park. I think Ian Maguire could come back into the team, which is a good sign. Brian Hurley and Stephen Sherlock actually played in the same team the last day against Louth and bounced off each other very, very well, which was very positive to see. Chris O'Jones looked lively up front, albeit he is our only goal scorer at this present moment in time from play, which is a concern. We need to hit the back of the net more times and we need to convert more of our chances. I think like a lot of the guys in the Secrets of the Cup have played well. Tommy Walsh is in great form right now. Played very well for UL last night and is very good for Cork in the last few weeks. I think Luke Fahy has been absolutely excellent in the last few weeks as well. I think Daniel O'Mahony, very good against Louth as well. So Bar Shanley had his best performance of the Cork shirt, I believe, against Louth. So it is positive so far. And I do feel like Cork are favourites to win this game. But there's always a but. John Hayes did right in the Southern Star, and this might please Liam. He remembers a Cork team that had Graham Canty, Derek Kavanagh, all these great guys who went on and won the All Ireland in 2010. Go to Tullamore 2006 and lose to Offaly 11 points to 1-5. I don't know, did Liam recall that result, to be honest with you, but John Hayes did say that in his Southern Star column, and he did reference that result. That has got me slightly nervous, I would say, despite that Offaly haven't won any games. Obviously, Liam has more of an insight into Offaly football at this present moment of time. But it looks at things, Liam might correct me at any point, but it looks like Keith O'Neill is the only player providing a bright spark. Obviously, he's got 12 points in this league campaign. The other players have got less than 5 points. But this could be a game where Offaly do click. This could be a game. But I feel that the way we've performed so far, I'd be confident enough that we'll get over the line. But look, it's always a banana skin going up to Tullamore. It is a difficult place to go. I think Cork will get over the line, but narrowly. I don't think it'll be a hammering at all. I think Offaly will battle in this game at stages. It's going to be an interesting sort of an affair. But I think we might have enough. Liam might think differently. He probably obviously will, but we'll have to see.
It's Valentine's weekend, so I'm feeling generous. But this is more of the fact that I have a girlfriend who's from Cork. But no, I'm going to be honest with you, and I hate saying it, but I just don't see us winning this weekend, if I'm being fully honest with you. Look, like you said there, Matthew, Keith O'Neill at the moment really is our big shining light, like he is. And it's... Look, Keith is an absolutely terrific footballer, you know, and nobody can deny that. You know, he could spring a score. Like even the other day against Kildare, he had a ball, I think he was about maybe, just judging by like the angle he was at, he was probably 45 yards out. And he kicked over a 2-pointer off his left foot just casually. You know, he is just that type of player that can just do anything when he gets on the ball. He brings a bit of excitement. Like some of our other like exciting players, obviously that are not injured at the moment because we have a lot of injuries. Cormac Egan just hasn't performed to his level so far this year. Now that could change this weekend. I've no doubt that he could switch it on just like that, but he's not been at 100% so far. And yeah, just some of our other players, we've just not been fully at the races, to be honest with you. Now look, by what I gathered, I was obviously at the Kilkenny hurling match the day of the Louth match, but we performed well in the first half. We just ran out of legs in the second half against Kildare. Look, similarly to what you said regarding Louth and Cork, saying that Cork could have won that by 10 points. Kildare could have easily beaten us by more than 9, to be honest with you. Like they missed a lot of chances on that day and we just looked all over the place at the back, to be honest with you. So look, I know you mentioned the game there in 2006, but I will pinpoint you to 2022 when ye bastards relegated us and sent us down to Division 3 by that mistake by us at the end. You can tell I'm not salty over it. No, look, I just think at the moment we're not at the races. Like you said, it could be a game that ignites us and it could make us wake up a bit and say, listen, if we're not careful, we are going down. We could go down, and we have games against Derry to come and Tyrone back to back, which is just going to be absolutely, it's going to be mountainous climbs, to be honest with you, before you have to play Cavan and Meath at home. But look, I do agree. I don't think it'd be a hammering. Like 9 points to a degree in football now is not really a hammering because you can get 2-pointers or, you know, a goal could just change a whole complexity of a game. And then the Louth one, we just fell apart in the second half. But I just worry with, like you said there, Sherlock and Brian Hurley linking up well. Brian O'Driscoll is one that he's fit. He's still fit at the moment, isn't he?
He's still fit, but he probably hasn't played his best football this year. Like I think Luke Fahey has been absolutely excellent so far. I think he's the guy to watch at half back for Cork.
Yeah, well, he's just one player that I really worry for because he's excellent at getting 2-pointers and running up the field. And like the way we've kind of been sort of carved open, I would say at the moment, it could exploit a lot of space for him to kick over a couple of 2-pointers. So that's one area I'm particularly worried about at the moment. So look, I'm going to say Cork probably win it maybe 1-23 to maybe a 2-16 or something. But look, I'd be delighted if we won, of course. But I think the way Cork are playing at the moment and the way we are, I just think Cork will have too much for us.
I am going to agree. I think Cork will have too much. I think Cork are like, Cork have started to roll. It's like it was up here and it's like now they've tipped over and now it's like, okay, now we're moving. Like Stephen Sherlock's back. Brian Hurley's still looking good. Brian O'Driscoll, you mentioned there, Matthew, that he's not playing his best football, but he still is well capable of coming up to kick over those 2-pointers. I think in terms of defenders, like man-on-man defenders, these are extremely underrated in terms of the players that you have. Like Daniel O'Mahony, I think, is as good a man marker as you're going to get in the country. Like, if you've got a good side, like, and I do believe, like, if Tyrone stutter, which they certainly look like they are, like, if they have a problem against Cavan this weekend, I think there's a second spot that could open up beside Meath to go up. And like I honestly thought if either of the teams were going to stumble out of my promotion picks of Tyrone and Meath, I thought it would be Meath, but I was not expecting Tyrone to stumble. But Cork are positioning themselves in a very good place to take over if they do stumble, and if they want to get promoted. Simply put, this is a game that they have to win. Like, Aaron, is it a clean sweep for the Rebels?
Yeah, I think so. I think Cork will be too strong here. Like, it is interesting with Cork down the years of kind of we've all mentioned on podcasts here before, where sometimes in these type of games, these would be the ones Cork would slip up on, but they'd then go and beat a Tyrone or a Derry or, you know, something of that nature. But it does seem from looking at the opening 2 games that they have ironed out that inconsistency a little bit. And yeah, it's a golden opportunity now for Cork, because like, to have 6 points on the board after 3 games. Tyrone have obviously slipped up a little bit. Yeah, like Cork will firmly be in the promotion hunt. So, yeah, I'm going to go with a 5-point win for the Rebels.
Okay, we are going to speed it up because we're at an hour, 11 minutes. We still have a lot to get through. So, Liam, I'm going to let you take the lead on this next game, and then we'll just agree or disagree with you. And if we disagree, we'll say why. Kildare against Derry, Saturday at 6:30 p.m. in St. Conleth's Park in Newbridge. Are you going to be nice to your neighbours?
Of course not. I know. Noisy neighbours. I can't believe I did that. Jesus. Cut that out, please. But
we're live, but you can't. It's done.
We'll find a way. We'll find a way. But no, I was impressed with Kildare against us. Now, look, a lot of that I felt was down to maybe us not being at the races, but at the same time, they did also get a draw up in Tyrone, and deservedly so, to be honest with you. They've gotten 3 points after 2 games. They're looking good. But at the same time, that victory that Derry got, and Arsenal just scored, brilliant. And that,
who scored? And
that Madueke. Who would have thought?
I don't have him in my fantasy.
Right, lads. And I just that's my mother and father screaming now, so you can tell. But anyways, yeah. Look, Derry got a huge win against Tyrone, which I'll be honest, I don't think I predicted them. I think I predicted Tyrone to win, and I think I didn't predict Derry to do particularly well in the league, just based off the last 2 years and losing. I did, yeah, but it's mainly because I just thought the teams ahead of them were in much better form, and would be looking at like Derry are also a team that went from Division 1 to Division 4 fairly quickly. Do you know what I mean? It has happened to them in the past. Yeah. Look, I think this is a potential banana skin for both teams. And I have a weird feeling Kildare could actually win this game this weekend. Now, that win for Derry against Tyrone could be the best thing that's ever happened to them, because they've beaten an Ulster rival. They did it by 3 points, you know, typical old-fashioned kind of Ulster style, like not the highest scoring of games compared to what we've had the last year or so. But I was impressed by Kildare against us, I will say. I think their forward line, the McLaughlins, the Alex Burns in particular, I really like Alex Byrne as a footballer. I think he's going to be a superstar over the next number of years. And if Kildare to win a Leinster title, I think he's going to be at the forefront of that. Ben Lokeman as well, a corner forward, excellent footballer. Yeah, I think if they can kind of keep the likes of McGuigan and Glass quiet, and I think I see a comment there from Peter. Yeah, Rogers as well. I meant to mention him as well. If they can keep them quiet, which is very difficult to keep one of them quiet, never mind 3, then Kildare will have a big opportunity here. I can't believe I'm backing Kildare, but I'm going to back Kildare to win this game by 3 points.
Any disagreements, lads?
I'd go with Derry, I think, narrowly. I think after kind of brushing off the cobwebs a little bit after beating Tyrone, I think they might go on a bit of a run now, to be honest with you. I think it will be very close. Kildare certainly at home in Newbridge now would have been a bit more of a fortress, obviously, since they've redeveloped the grounds. You could see Kildare turning up, but I think with that, I think Conor Doherty in particular has looked very, very strong from a Derry perspective. He's been brilliant so far this season. So I think Derry might narrowly come through. I do think this is going to be a bit of a basket case of a game, though. This will be a game we'll look back at where I think Kildare are going to just miss loads of chances for some reason. I'm sorry, Peter. I just have a feeling this might be a game Kildare leave behind them. But But yeah, I think Derry narrowly.
I actually agree with Ryan. I think this has draw written all over it. I genuinely like someone's going to kick a 2-pointer and then they're both going to end the game kind of irritated that they didn't get more out of it. I think that's the type of game I could see happening here. Kildare drew with Tyrone in round 1. That was away from home. Derry are fired up because they've just beaten Tyrone. But I would be surprised if they bring the same level of intensity to this game that they brought to the Tyrone one. Like if anyone was going to wake them up, it was going to be Tyrone. Then that being said, like this is a lot of the same Derry team that look like world beaters only in the 2024 league. So they have that potential in them. So it's just, do they wake up and put that potential back to full use? But no, I'm going to go with a draw in this one. And I'll take the reins here on this one. And if you have any disagreements, do flag it. Tyrone versus Cavan, Sunday at 3:45 in Healy Park. I think this is the one where Tyrone finally break their duck. I think that they've had a very, very slow start to the league campaign. I was not expecting them to get nothing out of their first 2 games, especially when they had Kildare, one of the promoted teams, at home. And Aaron, I don't know, did the UFO land in the sitting room, man?
Yeah, no, I just had to close a different tab for some reason. I don't know
what's
going on. Nearly knocked me out, lads. I won't lie.
I'm going with Tyrone. Matthew, I think, was that a disagreement?
No, I was just making the point. They have 1 point, not 0.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't expecting them to get no wins. I think especially when they had Kildare at home, I thought that's a definite win for Tyrone. No disrespect, Peter. I just thought my favourites to win the division against one of the teams that got promoted at home. I thought this is surely a Tyrone win. So I was very surprised when they started slow there. They have Cavan at home. You know, Ulster rivals, they are not going to take it easy and they're going to put the foot firmly down on the gas in this one. And I expect Tyrone to win by 4 points. Any disagreements?
Tyrone by 8.
Tyrone by 8. Very interesting. We'll get the hate mail from John McMahon now for that, Liam. But anyway, we'll move on. We'll move on to interesting prediction here from Ryan Gallagher. Another 1 point loss for McCabe. It's actually interesting. Like it's actually interesting. So far, Cavan's campaign has looked eerily similar to Westmeath's last year. Like so far, it's looked very, very similar. But we'll see how this weekend goes. We'll go through Division 3 then. And as I said, we're looking at the clock. We're at 1 hour 17, so we will speed it up. I'm going to put the 4 games together and just ask you all for your predictions for the round 3 of Division 3. So starting off, we have Down against Westmeath is obviously the headliner from Division 3 across this weekend. Saturday at 6 p.m. in Park Esler. We have Laois hosting Sligo on Saturday at 6 p.m. in O'Moore Park. That one's going to be very interesting. Fermanagh host Clare on Sunday at 1 p.m. in Enniskillen. And Limerick host Wexford on Sunday at 1 p.m. in Rathkeale. Aaron, I'll go to you first. What are you expecting from these 4 games?
Yeah, I suppose the surprise prediction I'll go with is Westmeath to beat Down. I actually think Westmeath have looked very strong so far this season. 2 very impressive wins. I think you can, from the clips I've seen of Westmeath, you can see the kind of Mark McHugh blueprint over this Westmeath side. Obviously, a student of the Hugh McGuinness football, and you can kind of see that all over this Westmeath side with wing backs bursting forward like Ronan Wallace and Jonathan Linham. So I think they're going to surprise Down. Down like narrowly came through Limerick, so I don't think they've been at their absolute best so far this season. So I'll go with the victory for Down there. In terms of the other games, I'm going to go with a draw for Clare. I think there'll be a lot on the line in terms of that game, so I think it's going to end in a draw. Wexford Limerick's a difficult one. Like Wexford have looked brilliant so far, but going away to Limerick, it will be interesting to see if they can keep up the consistency. But they have been very strong so far, so I think Wexford will win that as well. And then in terms of the other game, Sligo versus Laois, I think it'll be fairly comfortable for Sligo. I think Laois have been one of the lowest scorers so far across the entirety of the league, and haven't really looked in any way impressive. And I think, that should be a game Sligo win probably by 4 or 5.
I'm going to go for Down to beat Westmeath, going a little bit against the grain there. I'm going to go with Sligo to beat Laois, Fermanagh to beat Clare. I don't know, Bonner needs a win, but like, who did they lose? They lost to Wexford, didn't they, at home?
Yeah.
Actually,
Wexford
no, yeah, I'm going for Clare. Like genuinely, like they seem to be in a bad L state. And then I'm going for Wexford to beat Limerick. Liam, what are you thinking?
I agree with Aaron. The way that he was saying, mostly because I don't think Down have been at the races fully so far. Now, look, it's no disrespect to Limerick or to who was it to play the first day, Clare at home, but Clare at home especially is one you'd expect them to win very comfortably, and then Limerick away is obviously not easy. But at the same time, it is a game that you would probably expect Down to put the foot down, ironically, and put out a bit of a statement. But look, I think the two teams would have been looking at each other at the start and saying this is the game that we're pinpointing as probably the most important one. But I agree. I'm very impressed with what Mark McHugh is doing at the moment. And when you've got Ronan Wallace and Luke Loughlin, players like that are in top form at the moment, I think they could shade it. I'm going with Clare to beat Fermanagh. I agree. I think Clare could actually pull off a big win away from home as well. Bonner needs a win, absolutely, but I don't think it's happening this weekend. Sligo, I think, will beat Laois fairly comfortably, to be honest. I don't think Laois are improving anytime soon. It was great for Ben Dempsey to win yesterday in the Sigerson Cup for them, obviously, and he'd be on a high after that. But yeah, I just think Sligo will have too much. I think Limerick could beat Wexford. They bet them in the last year in the Tailteann Cup, bet them in the league final. They have a bit of they have it over them at the moment, and I think that's gonna continue. I really don't know why I picked Limerick 7th now in the league. That was I think I must have been really heavy on the drink when I was doing Division 3. But yeah,
I think 8th.
What?
I had them 8th, so I don't know. I was on worse.
That's why you're on the sense.
Yeah. Anyway, Ryan asked, is Evan O'Carroll playing? He was playing the first game against Limerick, wasn't he? So
yeah, played in the O'Byrne Cup. So.
Yeah, I believe he is. Matthew, do you have any disagreements with any of the predictions that we've had? What are you going for the 4 games?
No messing. Down, Sligo, Fermanagh, draw.
Straightforward. I like it. We have a very funny comment in here, and I'm going to bring it up exactly why. So, Mikey here says, expecting every county starting with a W to win this weekend. Well, get ready to get absolutely bamboozled, because round 3 of Division 4, Waterford against Wicklow in Fairfield. What on earth?
Just give them both to win. Just give them both to win. They need it.
Coin toss and it lands on the line, like the apex of the coin. Oh my God, first time in history. Waterford against Wicklow is one of the games in Division 4 round 3. London against Leitrim, so we've got the same letters at it again. Sunday at 1 p.m. in McGovern Park. Antrim against Longford on Sunday at 2 p.m. in Cagan. Tipperary against Carlow on Sunday at 2 p.m. in Semple Stadium. Matthew, I'll let you lead this one off.
Wicklow to beat Waterford and comfortably. I think Antrim will beat Longford. They're desperate for a win, so they'll get over the line there. I think London will beat Leitrim as well. Impressive start, and Royceup's a hard place to go. And I think Tip will actually beat Carlow. I know a lot of people might be surprised by that, but I like the look of Tipperary football at this present moment in time. Clonmel High School got to the Curly Vree final. Very, very good in getting there. Obviously, David Power was the manager of UL. You had Charlie King, Dottie Hogan in the UL panel as well, Michael Freeney. So a lot of Tipperary footballers starting to excel now, and I think they're going under the radar, and I think Tip will get the win over Carlow this weekend. So Tip in London will be in the top 2 of Division 4 according to my predictions there.
Very interesting. Do you know, I didn't mention as well in Division 3, it'd be fascinating to see if that the UL goalkeeper is playing this weekend. Like, by God, he looked fantastic in that final. I'm going with Wicklow to beat Waterford. I'm going to go with London to beat Leitrim. I'm going to go with Antrim to beat Longford. And I will agree, Tip to beat Carlow. So I agree with Matthew. Any disagreements with Matthew's predictions?
No, I agree as well. I think London will beat Leitrim as well. I think when you look at what London have been scoring so far, the numbers they've been putting up, Leitrim didn't look particularly brilliant against Waterford either. From what I've read. So yeah, I think London will come through that. And I agree as well. I think Carlow have been very good so far. But I do think, yeah, like Tipperary, there definitely is something cooking up in Tipperary at the moment. There does seem to be a lot of young players coming through. And by the way, like whatever they're doing in Tipperary, you have to give them a huge amount of credit, because when you look at the underage teams they've produced in the last like sort of decade, and then when all those players have kind of left and retired, you kind of thought, right, that's going to be it. But it looks like there's a few more now coming through. So I think, massive credit has to go to Tipperary football there in terms of what they're able to break through. I think Antrim should win, and I think Wicklow should win their game against Waterford as well.
Any disagreements, Liam, or are we happy to move on to the Camogie?
No, I'm happy enough with those predictions as well. Like, I agree with what the lads were saying.
Perfect. Well, we will move on because, of course, the Camogie Leagues for 2026 start this weekend. And Matthew, what a game we have to kick us off. I'm going to throw this one straight over to you. Division 1A's round 1, Waterford against Cork, Saturday at 2 p.m. in Walsh Park. It's a repeat of the 2023 All-Ireland Camogie Final. What are you expecting from this one?
Hard to know what to expect from Cork. And not in a bad way. Obviously, Cork have been absolutely brilliant over the last few seasons. But the amount of retirements with Cork and a lot of players leaving the panel, obviously. Laura Tracy, I think, is a massive loss. I think she was a fantastic camogie player over the last few seasons, but a brilliant player that retired for Cork in the off-season. Obviously, wishing Laura all the best for retirement there. Cork were also without Hannah Looney, Aoife Healy, who went out the AFLW. I don't think the Mackies are there either. I think that's what Ger Manley was saying on a Red FM interview with Ger McCarthy. That's Pamela and Katrina. I don't think are there. Cleona Healy's not there this year, who's a brilliant impact player. So that's a lot of talent out of that Cork team. To my knowledge, Aisling Thompson is still there from the Cork point of view, which is a massive plus. You need experienced players there. I think Amy O'Connor's still there as well, which is a massive plus as well. What I will say, it'll be a very interesting team what Cork put out this weekend against Waterford. Look, Waterford are a team that are improving. And I haven't heard anything about retirements from a Waterford point of view. Obviously, Vicky Falconer's returned from her injury and worries over the last few seasons, which is a positive. Obviously, Beck Carton, Niamh Rocket. Like, you have some very good players from Waterford. Lorraine Bray, very good players from a Waterford point of view. And they're at home as well. And they want to prove a point. And as well as that, Cork won the league last year. I don't think they necessarily need to win the league this year. Their aim is to win the All-Ireland and win it back from Galway this year. So for that reason, and bit of the unknown from a Cork point of view and who they will put out, they might put out some younger talented players. Like, you know, the likes of even the UCC players that performed very well in winning the Ashburn Cup last weekend, the likes of Niamh McNabola, the likes of Claire Kingston there as well. They might actually play some of them players this weekend against Waterford, so you never know. And it might take a while for them to gel as a team. So for that reason, and the reason Waterford are at home, I actually back Waterford to win this game, but it will be tight. I think Waterford will win it, but I think they'll win it by about 2 or 3 points. But what I will say, it'll be interesting from a Cork point of view who they will put out this weekend.
Certainly will be. Any disagreements with Matthew? Any inputs on that game?
No, yes. Yeah, like you go ahead, Liam.
Oh, go ahead. You said it first.
No, look, I was just going to say I'd agree as well. I think Cork are obviously missing some big players in fairness, and I think Waterford, look, they've been coming strong over the last couple of years. Like, they've definitely been building towards it, and I think especially with as we were kind of saying, Niamh Rocket in a full forward, Beth Carton in a centre forward as well, Lorraine Bray around midfield. I'd go with Waterford to win this.
I'm going to go for the Rebels. I think still, even without the players that they have, I still think they've too much power up front. I think Matthew is because this is the gem. Is Saoirse McCarthy playing?
She is, yes.
Yeah. She's fantastic. In the All Ireland final last year, I was like, she might be the best player in Ireland. Like, genuinely was thinking it in the final.
To be fair, Seamus, she's been nominated for Player of the Year the last 3 seasons and hasn't won it.
Yeah, but like just in the final, the way she was absolutely like, if I was Galway, like, and if I could pick one player, say if I wanted Galway to win more than Cork, which I was fairly neutral, but I was looking at it thinking, if I wanted one player to leave the field from a Galway perspective, it's Saoirse McCarthy. She's the one carrying the fight to Galway here. So yeah, if she's playing, I think that's massive. Then the Finbars players as well. Like, if Saoirse McCarthy's playing, like, those type of players can make a huge impact. And I still think Cork have something over Waterford. Waterford really struggled to beat them. And I think Cork will win this opening game. But Liam, I'll throw this next one to you. Galway versus Kilkenny on Saturday at 2 p.m. in Duggan Park. So the reigning All-Ireland Camogie champions hosting Kilkenny in round 1. What are you expecting from them?
Yeah, first of all, I'm hoping that there would be a good crowd for that game, considering, like you said, they are reigning All-Ireland champions. Obviously, there is no men's hurling this weekend, so you'd be hoping that the Galway supporters will come out and support this team, considering they won an All-Ireland last year. But yeah, look, it'd be interesting to see how many of last year's All-Ireland winners will be put out this weekend, and especially on a pitch like Duggan Park, which, like, I mean, I've been there. It's not exactly the new camp or the red carpet in Hollywood or anything like that. You know, it's a place where injuries very frequently happen. So I suppose Galway could be thinking we might want to be a small bit careful this weekend with who we do play and who we don't play. And it'd be interesting to see how many of the Athenry players are involved as well this weekend, considering the success that they had last month as well. But yeah, look, I think Kilkenny will want to come and try and prove a point, obviously, after exiting the All-Ireland last year at the quarter-final stages, and could argue that they'd be looking back at that with a lot of regret, you know, considering the way they lost to Tipperary after extra time, had that penalty miss as well, which proved very vital in the end as well. So, but I think having home advantage, and if they could have some of the Athenry players out there this weekend, and some of their other, like a lot of their key players as well, the Rabbits involved, if Carrie Dolan was playing, you know, these types of players, Donoghue, if they were all playing, then I could see nothing then other than a Galway win, I could say. But I think it's going to be an interesting contest. But Kilkenny, I just think at the moment they're not quite on Galway's level, and it is only the league, so you never know. Katie Power out. Oh Jesus, yeah, that's going to be a huge loss. That's a massive loss. But yeah, I'm going to shade it to Galway by, I would say, 5 points.
I agree. I think Galway will shade this one. Kilkenny are in that weird bit of transition now. So many of their key players from their All-Ireland winning teams in 2020 and 2022 like have left, whether it's Grace Walsh, Miriam Walsh, and now if Katie Power and that like is injured, they are in that transitional phase. And Brian Dowling, of course, no longer the coach. Like, a lot's changed since them days. And I think Galway, fresh off the All-Ireland win, they're going to be extremely, extremely confident. So I'm going to go for them to shade this one. I have a feeling we will be 3 for 3. We'll be agreeing on this one as well. Antrim against Tipperary, Saturday at 2 p.m. in Robert Emmett's Gaelic Athletic Club. I do look at this and go, look, Tip, to me, they kind of look like they may be in a similar position to like the Galway's men's footballers. But I remember going to the league final and they beat Galway that day in the Camogie League final and beat them by a point. Karen Kennedy scored a great goal. And it seemed like that was their time. That was their year. They lost the semi-final that year, I remember, to Waterford. And they didn't get to the All-Ireland final. They didn't break through that glass ceiling. And since then, it's just kind of quietened down a small bit. Like, Cort Devan has left the team and players like that. But they probably should still win this one out.
Yeah, I think so. Like, you'd imagine the quality between the teams should be far too strong. Like, and I think for Antrim, really, like, it probably will be very difficult in terms of staying up in this division. I think it is going to be very tough for them in regards to that. Like, and yeah, like, I haven't seen too much about Tipperary retirements or anything in regards to that, but look, you would be looking at players like Casey Hennessy, Clodagh McIntyre, as we were saying previously as well, and of course Grace O'Brien, who had a very, very strong season last year. So yeah, I think Tipperary should be far too strong, and yeah, should probably win it by 7 or 8, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that, even if the Lockgill girls have returned. Matthew, I'm going to throw you Division 1B's round 1. We have Limerick hosting Down in Cappamore on Saturday at 2 p.m. Wexford hosting Offaly on Saturday at 2 p.m. in Enniscorthy. And Dublin hosting Clare Saturday at 2 p.m. in Abbottstown. So that's round 1 for Division 1B.
Yeah, I think Limerick will be down. Like, Limerick are a sort of team that have a lot of potentially very good players. It's particularly for the UL Camogie team in the past few seasons, and particularly from UCC as well. Like, Sarah Bryan was the player of the match in the Ashborough Cup final against UCD. Stephanie Wolfe was a main player of defence for UL as well. Obviously, you have Alva Larkin. Like, Limerick have a lot of very good potential players. It's about stepping up for them. I think they will be down this weekend, but I'm probably expecting more from Limerick in this Camogie season. Maybe players might step away. There might be other issues here and there. But I feel like this is the time where Limerick need to step up now and be counted in the championship, especially with the championship structure changing this year for the Camogie. And that is a better structure. We might get into the structure in another episode because we're well over the time, obviously. Yeah. But I think Limerick need to make strides this season. I think Dublin will be Clare, actually. Dublin do well in Division 1B. historically. Ashley Maher is a very good player, obviously. Is a most notable player, obviously, with the Scots and Shorts to back, and she was one of the leading important people in the charge there. Emma Byrne is an excellent fullback there from a Dublin point of view. I think Grace O'Shea is probably underrated in the forwards as well. So I think McCartney is a very good player in the forwards as well. The Gannon sisters are very, very good. So I think Dublin have a nice core group of players there. I think they will get over the line there. And what was the middle game again, Seamus?
Let me get it up for you. So the middle game, so Wexford Offaly.
Wexford Offaly. I'm going back Offaly for that one. Look, they do have some good players. The likes of Sharon Shanahan and the likes of Claude Lahi, and of course there's an Offaly guy on the top of my screen there. So
we've already picked Offaly to lose once. We can't do it again.
Well, considering Arsenal are drawing 1-1 at the moment, I appreciate the support for Offaly. So.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, Keith Andrews' ball. What did you expect?
I like him tonight.
I'm going to go for Wexford to win. I'm also going to go for Dublin to beat Clare. And I am also, I've forgotten the final game out of pure panic. I'm going to go for Limerick to beat Down as well as the third and final result. And that brings us on then. So what I'll do as well, because looking at the time, I'll run through the other fixtures. So Division 2A's round 1 also kicks off. There's 3 games. Derry hosts Carlow in Celtic Park. Kerry hosts Laois, and the actual venue is to be confirmed, even though it's in 2 days' time. Westmeath hosts Meath in Cusack Park in Mullingar. And then in Division 3A, there are only 2 games opening up round 1. Roscommon hosts Kildare in St. Aidan's GA Club in Ballyfornan, and Tyrone are hosting Wicklow at 2 p.m. again, to be confirmed. Interestingly enough, Matthew, I'll throw this one to you very quickly. Division 1's round 3 in the LGFA, the game that was supposed to be last weekend. Armagh play Cork on Sunday at 1 p.m. in Crossmaglen this time. How important is this one?
It's a huge one for both sides, because if Cork do win this game, amazingly will be in second place behind Waterford, who have been absolutely sensational in the LGFA campaign so far. It's interesting, actually. Joe Carroll did say to the Southern Star this week that the aim for Cork was to stay up at Division 1. And I think if they were to get to 7 points, I think that could be the job done then. So this is a massive game. I think if they do win this game, they'll be well on course to do that. We'll be very interested to see the Mackins, if they play from an Armagh point of view. If they do play, you'd nearly back Armagh to win it. If they don't, I think Cork could actually win this game. They had a very good win against Galway, albeit it was at home in Páirc Uí Rinn. But that was a Galway team that I fancied very much to win the All-Ireland before the season even started. So, yeah, I think Cork have performed quietly well this season, drawing to Kildare and obviously beating Galway. Katie Quirk's performing well. Anya Terry O'Sullivan, experienced player, really performing well as well from a Cork point of view. And apparently Shauna Kelly might be back in the team, which is a massive boost to Cork. Maura O'Callaghan might be back, which is another massive boost for Cork in midfield. You know what? I'll back Cork. I'm going to go for the Rebels County to win this weekend.
Very good. I'll run to as well. The LGFA National League Division 4 is also having its round 4 this weekend. They always do that. They always run a week ahead of the rest of the 3 divisions. It's an interesting way of doing it. But Wicklow hosts Derry in Bray Emmets at 2 p.m. Longford hosts Sligo in Pearse Park at 2 p.m. And Kilkenny hosts Leitrim in the training centre in Dunmore at 2 p.m. And Offaly hosts Carlow in Dangan GAA at 2 p.m. I think the biggest game out of there is Offaly taking on Carlow. Don't know who I'm going to pick there. I'm going to pick Offaly to win that one. But anyway, that brings, and then on the rest, I do think that Leitrim will beat Kilkenny. I do think that Longford will beat Sligo, and I think Wicklow will beat Derry. So a home sweep, except for Leitrim. I think that they'll beat Kilkenny away. Ryan here saying Leitrim by 20. Goodness gracious. Dublin is great, saying great show. Appreciate that, man. And thank you to everybody who got involved in the comments across the show. It really helped it to make another enjoyable one. We will be back, as Peter said, on Sunday at 8 p.m. with a full weekend review show. So see you all then. Ryan says thanks for the show. Thanks a million, Ryan, for getting involved in the discussion. We'll be back on Sunday at 8 p.m. as I said. Until then, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the games.
Instinct, baby. Follow your instinct.